Hey there, and welcome back to the Application Insider channel. Today's video is actually a continuation from the last video I posted. In the last video, I was sharing my RD story, which I had presented to the Dominican Student Nutrition and Dietetics Association at their request, as they were looking to hear from dietitians just to hear how they got to be where they are and anything that they could share about their career. After I gave that presentation, we had a Q&A so that the students who were attending live could ask any questions about becoming a dietitian, working on their application, as many of them were doing that so they could prepare to apply to internships. So I've got that here for you today. Any pertinent links or resources that I mentioned, they are down below, so go ahead and check the caption for this video to find those directly. I'm excited for you to watch.
Back to questions. Ready for anything?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Did you find that it was easy to find like mentors in your program? I'm just curious what that was like for you, trying to find someone that you could connect with when you were in your master's program. Because there's a few people, I know Ashley and Grace are looking to get into the master's program, and just curious, like, what are some good ways to have that network of mentors to support you?
In my particular master's program, I did what's called a focused area of study as opposed to a thesis. And so that kind of came with mentors because I had to pick people who would like be on my committee for that. And so I worked like my second year in that program, I worked really closely with I had 3 faculty members that were on my committee for that. So I should also clarify, are you looking for mentors like within, when you are in that master's program?
Yeah, just within higher education, and then also for people who are just trying to figure it out and wanting to have more supports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once you're in the program, you're going to be interacting with faculty. So it's always nice to have a faculty member that someone that you vibe with, that, you can get along with. And for most faculty, and I say that just because I'm sure there's a nuance somewhere, so I can't say all, but most faculty positions have some sort of they're supposed to be mentoring students in some way, whether that's supporting their research, those are the things like being on thesis committees, being on, any of those types of committees. That's part of their job description. So even if you're not doing a thesis, though, I'm sure there's a professor that you're going to be getting to know, and you're going to be in their classes that you're going to maybe relate to a little differently or a little stronger than with other faculty. And you don't have to officially ask, like, will you be my mentor? But, that's the one that you're really comfortable going up to and asking questions after class. Someone that, you have no anxiety. Okay, this is my anxiety coming out. I always had anxiety about showing up to office hours because I'm just an anxious person. But the one professor that you're like, I don't worry about going to office hours with this person because I'm going to ask my question and then we're going to chat for 10 more minutes about random who knows what. Whereas, someone else is like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask my question, and then I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to breathe again. So those are some people you can look to for mentors. Other people, within the community, if there's a dietitian in any workplace that you are in right now or volunteering in, that's a place to start looking for a mentor. If you're looking for a dietitian mentor and there's not one where you work or where you're able to, find those roles, then, I'm thinking like reaching out to your local A&D affiliate. A lot of dietitians are interested in giving back in some way. And I think part of you think with that, there'd be like, this is one of those bridges that doesn't exist. You think there'd be like, let's bring these people together, let's connect them. And I think some dietitians are interested in doing that, but they either haven't taken that one step of I need to put it out there that I'm open to this, or, they thought they put it out there, but they didn't. So one of the Facebook groups I'm in is just RDs and RDs to be. And I've seen some posts in there that are like, is there anyone willing to help me with this question or be a mentor for me or help me with this assignment? So those are some places you can look to. like right now, because it's 2020 and we have technology, but also because it's 2020 and like.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Did you find that it was easy to find like mentors in your program? I'm just curious what that was like for you, trying to find someone that you could connect with when you were in your master's program. Because there's a few people, I know Ashley and Grace are looking to get into the master's program, and just curious, like what are some good ways to have that network of mentors to support you?
In my particular master's program, I did what's called a focused area of study as opposed to a thesis. And so that kind of came with mentors because I had to pick people who would like be on my committee for that. And so I worked like my second year in that program, I worked really closely with I had 3 faculty members that were on my committee for that. So I should also clarify, are you looking for mentors like within, when you are in that master's program?
Yeah, just within higher education, and then also for people who are just trying to figure it out and wanting to have more supports.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Once you're in the program, you're going to be interacting with faculty. So it's always nice to have a faculty member that someone that you vibe with, that, you can get along with. And for most faculty, and I say that just because I'm sure there's a nuance somewhere, so I can't say all, but most faculty positions have some sort of like, they're supposed to be mentoring students in some way, whether that's supporting their research, like those are the things like being on thesis committees, being on, any of those types of committees. That's part of their job description. So even if you're not doing a thesis, though, I'm sure there's a professor that you're going to be getting to know, and you're going to be in their classes that you're going to maybe relate to a little differently or a little stronger than with other faculty. And you don't have to officially ask, like, will you be my mentor? But, that's the one that you're really comfortable going up to and asking questions after class. Someone that, you have no anxiety. Okay, this is my anxiety coming out. I always had anxiety about showing up to office hours because I'm just an anxious person. But the one professor that you're like, I don't worry about going to office hours with this person because I'm going to ask my question and then we're going to chat for 10 more minutes about random who knows what. Whereas, someone else is like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask my question, and then I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to breathe again. So those are some people you can look to for mentors. Other people, within the community, if there's a dietitian in any workplace that you are in right now or volunteering in, that's a place to start looking for a mentor. If you're looking for a dietitian mentor and there's not one where you work or where you're able to, find those roles, then the world fell apart a little bit. Like this opportunity to use technology to make connections that otherwise would be impossible is really unique. Like, it's really cool to be a mentor or to connect with someone who's in your local A&D affiliate, but it's also absolutely possible and just as beneficial to connect with someone that you're like, you answered this post on my website or in that Facebook group, and you're 3 time zones away, but could you, are you willing to support me, and I'll support you in whatever way I can? Like, that hasn't always been an option, and it is now. So you might have to kind of think outside the box for that. Did that kind of answer your question? Sometimes, Ya knows this because she's in my workshop, and I'm just like, sometimes I really get off track.
Yeah, I like it. No, that's helpful. I think the Facebook group suggestion is a major one. I never even looked for Facebook groups for this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, well, okay. Let me look, let me just find out what the actual name of that Facebook group is right now. Am I still sharing my screen?
Yes.
Is it showing me on the internet?
Mm-mm. It's just showing your last slide.
Okay, well, I'll leave it there just in case something weird pops up. I don't know. Okay, so the name of the Facebook group is called Registered Dietitians and Future RDs Community. And the little picture at the top is yellowish, the yellow background. Oh, it's fruit and it's fruit. It says, trust us, we're registered dietitians. So there's 6,000 members.
Wow.
So, and I mean, there's tons of questions in here. So someone right now is, the first post is like, I'm completing my clinical rotation. The second post is, I'm a new dietitian. I don't know how to log continuing education credits. This other one is like, I'm a renal dietitian, but I have this patient that I really don't know what to do with. What feedback do you have? The next person, I'm applying for the spring distance program. I'm just wondering for this. So tons of questions in there, tons of people in there, all sorts of stuff. So take advantage of stuff like that. Another one that I'm in is, how many people are in this one? I feel like this next one is, it was originally started for RD to Bs, so it's more student oriented, but it is called RD and RD2B community. That's got 1.5 thousand members. I'm not affiliated with these in any way. I'm just members of them. Like, I didn't start them. Just passing along the info.
I have a question for you. In terms of DICAS applications, I know some ask like, what's like an area that you need improvement on? And I know you kind of touched base about that in your presentation. That is the area I struggle the most with. Like, I don't know what to say that's like something I need to improve on, but I don't want to make myself look bad, obviously. Can you provide a little insight on that?
Yes. What directors want to see for this, they're not asking you to like shoot yourself in the foot. They're not asking for reasons to not put you on their match list. They are looking to see that you acknowledge that you are human, and all humans have strengths and all humans have weaknesses, and that you are mature and you can recognize them, and that you are doing something about that so that it doesn't trip you up continually over and over and over again. You want to think of it as something that you're bringing with you into the internship. You've dealt with it, you know, essentially your whole life. Like, it's just part of who you are. It's one of your characteristics. It's going to be part of your internship experience, and it's even going to be part of your RD experience. That's why I don't like the lack of clinical experience put in there, because essentially the internship is going to fix that. At the end of the internship, you're going to have some clinical experience, but at the end of the internship, you're also going to have human characteristic weaknesses that you brought with you into the internship. So the program wants to see, what do you know about yourself that's going to contribute in whatever way, positive or negative, to whichever level you want to think of that. What are you going to bring into your internship? And it also helps them kind of prepare beforehand, like, what is something we're going to need to know about you? Some of the things I appreciated learning about my interns that I worked with was, you know, if they, this is like the example I always use. If they were either like, I procrastinate or time management is an issue, then I would know, like, when they're in this program, if they match to us, I kind of need to be aware that since we were a distance internship and it was very self-guided, I was like, I'm going to want to check on them a little more often than I'm going to check on the person that is proving to me that they turn in assignments every single week. Whereas this other person, I'm going to be like, okay, what do I need to be aware of to help them while they're in this internship? Not give me a whole bunch of reasons to not put you on my match list, because that's not the purpose of the whole experience. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much. That's really helpful.
What's your opinion on DICAS and like ISPP programs and stuff like that, on how the application process is kind of like you have to apply for DICAS first and then apply to ISPP programs?
Yeah, well, so one thing to be aware of with ISPP, I don't know everything about ISPP programs. I don't know everything about anything. But one thing to be aware of with ISPP programs is that they are not required to include the data from their ISPP students with data from their other students. So if you're looking at a program and it says like our pass rate, our exam pass rate is whatever they say it is, they are not required, like their ISPP students are not required to be included in that. Ascend is not going to come back and look at their ISPP information the same way they're going to look at their DPD, not their official DI stuff. which might not mean, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's a good or bad thing either way. I think it's really interesting that, I mean, the ISP really is like a second, not second string. It's not even officially like second round. It's at the same time as second round. It's, I obviously have mixed feelings about this. And part of it, again, is I don't know every single thing about ISP programs. That's something I am getting a little more versed in as I go through this whole process. I really think it's interesting that the ISP students aren't counted the same way as other students. It doesn't mean that they are treated as less, and it doesn't mean you're not going to get a good, like if you look at a program and they have a really high pass rate, it doesn't mean their ISP students are just failing all over the place. I think it's just important to kind of keep that sort of information in mind if you are considering ISPs. And if you are really looking into ISPs, taking into account the fact that you do have to go through the DICAS process first, you know, you're putting all that effort into it and you have to go through the match. If you get a match to a program that doesn't do an ISP, like at least you got a match. I don't know, that's like a thought process I'm just taking myself through now. I have a very convoluted opinion about it. I'm really sorry. I need to learn more about them and kind of go through some scenarios in my head a little, like with a better understanding.
That's super interesting about the data. Didn't know that it was not allowed to, or they're not required to include it. That's super interesting.
Mm-hmm. And again, I don't mean that to say like they're doing sneaky stuff under the table or anything, because a lot of programs, it's like they've got, you know, 38 regular spots and 2 ISP spots. Like, it's not like they're like, we have 10 regular students and 45 ISP students. That's not the case. So I do appreciate the fact that that route is an option for, you know, for those who don't get a match, because it's nice to have options, because every single match there are people that don't get a match, and the match rate is improving. I mean, it used to be like legit 50%, and it is going up. It's, you know, more in the 60s, 70s now, which is really like a major improvement. And with second round option and some of these ISP programs that are out there, like, I feel like it does open up some opportunities, but you do have to be informed. Like, it's really important if you're preparing for the whole possible outcome situation, then you do want to do your research. Obviously, I still need to do some research, but just make sure you go in with an understanding. And that's something you can also ask the program directors about. You know, if you're looking at a program that has spots for both regular match and ISP, go ahead and ask them, like, how does your ISP process work? They're obviously going to know more about it than I will.
Speaking of directors, I mean, outside of doing your preliminary research and not asking a question that's answered on the website, like, what's a good angle to go at it without looking like I'm just dropping my name via the email to connect with you? Do you have any advice for reaching out to program directors?
Yeah, so I would hope that most directors realize that some interns are just like, I just need to like drop a pin in this program and know that I've done that. But no, I mean, programs are a little, you know, they're a little needy. Like, don't make us just an item on your to-do list. But some ways to show that you like are genuinely interested. Like Ya said, don't ask questions that are answered on the website. One thing you can do is always take it one step further. So whatever you see on the website, for example, if it says you have to find your own preceptors, and you get the whole process of like, and they give you a whole bunch, you know, these are the steps to find preceptors, then you can say a step further would be like, what support do you have for preceptors? Because some programs have varying levels of support for preceptors. Or there's some other questions I got. What's a day in the life for your interns? Because program directors will know that you've never done an internship before. They can picture, you know, their own internship, and they can picture what the experiences of their current interns have been, but you've never done a dietetic internship. You don't know exactly how it works. So you can ask some of those logistical questions of if I match to your program, what can I expect? What can I expect, you know, my daily hours are going to be when I am in these rotations? What amount of homework? Like, you can ask these like super logistical questions, which I think is totally fine. How much homework am I going to have? What was the other one I was just thinking? What if I'm sick and I can't show up to rotations that day? What is that whole process? And then, you know, you can ask questions on behalf of, like I said, the preceptors. What support do you have for preceptors? What information do I need to give my preceptors if I need to find them myself? Or even if I don't need to find them myself, what is your expectation for interns to contact their preceptors before their rotation starts, or something like that? Like, some of those really logistical questions, it can show that you have thought through this process. Like, I've imagined myself in your internship, and these are the holes I couldn't quite fill in my imagination process. So.
Yeah, that's super helpful.
Are you guys all getting ready to apply in the spring batch, or like maybe next fall or next spring? Everyone's kind of on that track.
Spring. Grace already applied.
Yeah, I already applied. I'm actually doing like the ISPP masters at our school.
Okay.
And so part of that process is purposely not getting matched with DICAS.
Okay.
That was like a little.
Did you have to like intentionally not match to get that ISPP spot?
Yeah, so like you have to like not do a portion of it, but like still fill it out, because like someone's gonna read it, you know, and might recognize your name somewhere. I don't know. I have a pretty common name, so it's not like someone's gonna know.
Register on D&D Digital.
I'm sorry?
Did you still have to register on D&D Digital?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a lot of money for something I'm not going through.
For
Which
sure.
is a little frustrating, and that's why like I think this whole process is a little.
Well, it's frustrating.
It's a little weird.
You have to work around that way.
Yeah. So I don't know. But
well, congratulations on your match. That's awesome. Or your spot match spot. I don't know what it's called, but you're in there. Did someone else have a question? I thought someone else had unmuted, or maybe not.
I'm actually in the coordinated program at our university, and my rotations are coming up in summer. Very scared for that. So I wanted to ask what qualities or characteristics did the students that stood out the most to you have?
Okay. Qualities that stand out. I'm going to give you a really bad example from me being an intern. I've already, like, it's very well known, clinical was not my strong point. But during my clinical rotation, my preceptor asked, like, you know, I had my list of patients that I was assigned to see that day. And one of the other dietitians had on their list a patient that had a wound. And, you know, they were going to go assess, figure out the nutrition that patient needed and all of that. And so they said, do you want to come see this wound with us? And me being my queasy, anxious, non-clinical self, I was like, nope, I'll just work on my patients that I got right here. And like, looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was the stupidest intern. Like, that's a really cool opportunity. Not something that like I was really excited for myself, but that was my preceptor saying, this is an opportunity for this intern to see something that hasn't come up yet. And it's something that dietitians do, and it's something they can learn from. So I'm going to present it to this intern. I'm surprised I wasn't just ordered to go. Instead of just being like, oh, come with me, we're going to go see a patient. But they asked me. But maybe with wounds, they always ask because queasiness. But looking back, I'm like, I should not have said no to that opportunity to learn that someone was literally placing in my lap. I didn't have to go searching for it. I didn't have to ask, you know, I'm really interested in this. Can you let me know if/when it comes up? They were like, this is part of dietetics. This is an opportunity to learn. Let's go. So the advice there is being open to the opportunities that come up and realizing that, I mean, you've got so many people that are in your corner. There isn't a preceptor out there that's like, my goal is to fail interns. Some preceptors come across that way, but I don't think that really is their goal. They just have a different approach. So just realizing that those learning opportunities are going to come up and you should take them whenever you can. So that willingness to learn, that willingness to see, that willingness to ask questions. Something else that I think is really important is if you have a concern, a problem, an issue that you are going to anyone for, whether it's your preceptor or your like your director, whatever it is, you can't just expect them to fix everything for you. You have to be part of the solution and not just like, I'm here to let you know about this problem. Tell me how to solve it. You might not know how to solve it, but you have to show like, this is the situation that's come up. These are some things I've thought about. Like, this is my idea. What else can I do or what am I missing? Obviously, you're going to someone who has some experience to lend to the situation. So you can't just say like, I got a problem. Oh, wise one, help me out here. Wave your wand and make this fixed for me. You have to say, I am involved in this situation. I want to be part of the solution. I need help to make it happen because I don't know everything, but this is like what I have thought through so far. So that's if you have an issue, but it also works if you have a question. It's really helpful for preceptors if you go up to someone, if you do have a question, you're like, I'm working with this patient and this has come up and I don't know exactly what to do next, but I looked here and here, and with that, I have this information. Can you help me get to the next step? So you're not just going to your preceptor saying, my patient has XYZ, now what? Like pencil poise, like tell me what to write in their chart or whatever, you know, if you're not in clinical, whatever situation you might be in. But you're saying, I've taken myself as far as I can go with my experience. I know you have more and you can get me to the next step. You have to show them that like you've contributed to the solution that you're trying to reach.
That was awesome advice. Thank you so much, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching. I hope that some of that information was as useful for you as it was for the students when I was able to share it with them live. Again, any links that I referred to are down in the caption to this video. If you want to have a one-on-one Q&A session with me, we can absolutely do that. I offer a free 20-minute brainstorm call for you to ask any questions that are on your mind about your application or the application process, whatever you need. So that link to schedule your call is also in the caption. I'd love to chat with you.